open at 12 o'clock and it's 12:03.
And I have your video too, so when you're ready to play, just let me know.
Okay, all right, sounds good. All right, everybody has a little treat. Oh, no, this is important too. Let me hand these out. You should have pre-ordered this book, it'll change your life.
This is Diana.
That's Diana.
You were gonna reach out to her, Lacey, right? Or was it not her?
Access.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is,
that's
I mean, I will gladly take a warm handoff, Suzy.
Where can we write on here? Just because I guess, is this thing right
Yep,
here?
you can write on those and take those markers, absolutely.
Okay, so we'll leave this one open because we'll do activities there. Okay.
Perfect.
My number is 8424112. Make it easy. KW Charleston, South Carolina, not West Virginia. I've got friends in Charleston, West Virginia. Okay. Well, welcome to 6 Personal Perspectives. Appreciate you being here. Who's taken 6 Personal Perspectives before? Anybody in here? Okay. What we're going to do today is there are 6 personal perspectives. That's why it's a 6. But we're only going to talk about one. We're going to focus on the 80-20 perspective, and hopefully we'll do some activities, and hopefully you'll take those activities out of here and apply them to your life so you can get better at life and work and all that good stuff. My name is Suzy Kopp. I am a realtor from Charleston, South Carolina. And I was in town for the KW Luxury Pro Luncheon Series downtown at the Four Seasons with Cynthia, who's with the KW downtown. She's got 32 units down there she's selling. Plus we had lunch and it was just fabulous, and speaker and all that good stuff. So a little bit about me. I started selling real estate in 1992. I've been full-time. Basically, I left college in 89, waited tables, cleaned houses. Always knew I was going to get in real estate, and that's when I started selling real estate full-time in 1992. Sold new construction for almost 15 years. And then I went to Keller Williams in 2007. Haven't looked back. It's just such a fabulous company, I hope you all agree. I've taken Bold 11 times, so I'm a Bold fan. Those are on the screen. Thanks for being here. If you're considering Bold, obviously I've taken it 11 times. I think there's something really positive about it, and you'll hear me refer to it here and there. But if you want accountability and just really getting into your mindset, Bold is the way to go. What else about me? That's really it. I guess my best year in real estate. Well, I've had a lot of good years in real estate. Real estate's been good to me. One of them was I sold more homes than anybody else in our tri-county, any other homes. So that was pretty extraordinary time. It was really busy. That's why I need the 80-20 principle that we're going to talk about. And I'll tell you some stories along the way with that. All right, let's get, well, when I said, let's get started, but one of the things I'm going to do is after we do an activity, I'll ask for an aha. So if a light bulb goes off in your brain, I want you to share, and then ask me any questions along the way. Okay. Flip to the next page, please, where it says 6 personal perspectives defined. I'll go ahead and read that first paragraph, and then I'll get somebody to read the quote, okay? The 6 personal perspectives are foundational to Keller Williams Realty. They are part of our basic vocabulary and philosophy of leadership and achievement. These perspectives came into existence with Gary Keller, executive chairman of KW, and Keller Williams Realty, when he asked this question. Who will read this quote for me? It starts with what?
I can read it. What is it that differentiates those who achieve at the highest level from those who don't seem to accomplish as much?
Gary asked that question, and then wait a minute, let me back up. How long has anybody been with KW less than a year? Okay.
Just over a month.
Just over a month. Fantastic. So you're going to hear all these Garyisms and
I worked here 2 days and then went to mega camp, so I was immersed in Gary's world for a few days, which was fantastic. But I'm all about it.
Okay, good. All right, that's good to know. And then who's been in real estate for like under a year? Selling. Kathy? Anybody else? I don't know if they can't talk, obviously. They're not on the screen?
No, they can. I don't think any of them have been in it under a year.
Hi. Keep on going back and
Hi.
forth. Okay, so you've been for under a year. Okay, sounds good. And Kathy, you've been in it since 2016
Yep.
here? Okay, awesome. That just gives me an idea. All right, sounds good. Well, Gary Keller goes deep. That's why I guess why I wanted to know how long you've been in real estate, how long you've been with Keller Williams. And what he did with that question is he asked a deeper question, what is it? So he went and found that they all had a commonality: mindset, attitude, and approach to life. And they were all positive. Will somebody go ahead and read mindset is a key? Out loud, please.
I will. Oh,
Go
great.
for it.
Okay. Mindset is a key. Gary said, when you interview the very top people and ask them what their biggest challenge is, invariably, they will tell you it is mindset, keeping it strong, focused, and positive amid the many challenges they encounter every day on their way to the top. Gary continues, life is an inside to the outside experience. When you get this at a deep level, you realize that who you are inside determines and drives what you are outside. The very best achievers know this and therefore truly work on that and protect their mindset.
Awesome. Anything pop out? Like, thanks, Kathy, for reading that. I like life is an inside to the outside experience.
Yeah.
Anything, anybody else?
The concept of protect your mindset. Like, I feel like it's easy to continually work on it, but how to protect it is a whole nother skill.
Mhm.
Yes. And that's like daily, minute by minute sometimes, especially if you're doing a repair addendum. But if you've only been in for a couple months and you haven't done a repair addendum, they're coming. And that's where you need some good mindset. So, all right, let's flip to page 9. As I mentioned, this is the class 6 personal perspectives, but for time's sake, we're only doing the 80-20 principle because the class itself is an all-day class. But let's just highlight what the 6 are. The first step is the commit to self-mastery mindset. I just talked about that. 2 is commit to that 80-20 principle. We'll talk about how, what that looks like, focusing on your big rocks, what's most important. 3rd is E to P. Purposeful about breaking through the ceiling of my achievement. 4, make learning base the foundation of your action plan, which you're already here. So you're already halfway there by doing that. I mentioned bold, and I've been in it 11 times, and they have what they call bold laws. There's 26 of them, maybe even more now, but one of them is your business grows to the extent you do. Now, I've been doing this for over 30 years, and I can promise you, and Kathy, you've been doing this for a while, your business grows to the extent you do. So congratulations for being here. Your business is going to grow just by being here. And then the 5th personal perspective is limiting beliefs. Whew, shake them off. We all got them. We all need to work for them. And then the 6th one is be accountable. Okay. All right. Who's ready to get digging? Okay. Let's flip to page 11. We're going to do our first activity. But before we do that, it says powerful perspective. Does anyone remember, has anybody seen the movie Sully? Or basically it's a Miracle on the Hudson, the flight.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you saw the movie?
It's a great movie. Yeah.
Last night I went on YouTube to see if I could pull a quick clip so we could have it here. And well, I couldn't figure it out, but the picture on it was all the people that landed on the plane. So for you, those who have not seen it, the plane got hit by birds. The guy had to immediately land. He lands on the Hudson River, like in the middle. No one is hurt, nobody. And the picture is everybody like literally on the water in the Hudson River. And every person's on the wings. And they're just standing there to be rescued. I still have chills thinking about it. So anyway, this fella, Rick, Elias, I don't know how to say his last name. He had a perspective on it, and I think it's really cool. Rick says, I was given the gift, because he was on it, okay, he was on the flight, sorry. I was given the gift of seeing into the future and then coming back and living differently. For the rest of this class, imagine you've got the same gift. That you get to, life's flashing before you, but you get to bring it forward. Okay? That being said, how would you change? What would you do that you are waiting to get done because you think you're here forever? So what 3 things would you like to accomplish in your life? Go ahead and take a minute or 2 to write down 3 things that you haven't achieved yet. You can think of what it, to be, to do, to have. Take your time. And then I want to hear what you have to say. How's everybody doing?
I got mine.
Excellent. Let's hear it, Sarah.
My first one is I want to travel more, see more of the United States and other countries. I want to run a full marathon,
Awesome.
and I want to have a savings account, so my future children do not have to pay for college.
Awesome. They're great goals. So you said a full marathon. Does that mean you run?
I have my half marathon in August of 2024.
Wow.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah,
I did it.
yeah,
You can do it. I can do it.
I've done several of them. I'll help you.
good.
wow.
I
Yeah.
need an accountability partner to be like,
There you go,
"Hey,
yeah.
Sarah,
Yeah.
get up and do it." So,
You do. Yeah. Afterward, I'll tell you the story of why a bunch of Keller Williams agents in Charleston, in the Mount Pleasant area. We ran a half marathon. We were going to run the half full, but thank God we only ran half. And I'll tell you why afterward. We had somebody inspire us to do it from.
oh,
Hey, you guys should come to Charleston to run the Charleston.
I'm okay with it. Preferably when it's
You could
cold
travel
here.
and do the
I
marathon.
love it. All in one.
Anybody else? Anybody else want to share anything that they thought of? No. I know I'd like to, I'm writing this down. I would like to sell a $10 million property. That would take me, that would be a level I've not done yet. And I'm working on that with somebody right now. So I think it's going to happen, but I'm writing it down. So that's something I'd like to accomplish. And I would just simply like to get in shape. I'm not in shape. My health is not my priority, and it should be. Can you tell? The time is up. Oh, it's after 12. I can have it.
You're good.
Yeah, I can have this Diet Pepsi. So anyway, anybody else want to share? No?
I think that like going off of like the take the trip mentality. I've always been so cautious and guarded and, oh, I would love to, I want to, but I don't pull the trigger on those things, but maybe do things. I'm trying this year. I'm doing that. I've twice have done that. Take the trip because you'll just regret it if you don't.
Well, I'll share mine. It's a bit more personal and yet, so I've spent a lot of years doing me and being independent and I don't have any children. I've never been married. And I'm at that point in my life where I'm like, okay, so I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, for all those years, right? You just kind of do you and you just go forward. But I'm at that point where I want to find somebody that I can spend the rest of my life with and live a great life together. And it doesn't necessarily mean marriage, but it means like that.
Shared experiences.
Yeah. Right. Because it's lonely at this age when you're all by yourself. I mean, my golden doodle is great, but I think it's with age too, you start to have different focuses, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, imagine for a moment your own version. This is on page 12. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Imagine for a moment your own version of a perfect future. Now take the memory of that future and bring it here into the present. Let it influence how you will behave from this moment on. It allows you to just reflect. I think that's great. Thank you for sharing. Okay, let's go to page 13. And if I'm skipping ahead, let me know because your handout might be slightly different than mine, okay? Everybody have page 13? It says do a reality check. So this is kind of the basis. We're kind of just getting warmed up to going to the 80-20, and we're talking about goals. And I must say, I did this with my team last week, and I just did not want to do it. I did not want to do this activity. You know what? I did it, and I was like, this is a positive. So I don't know what I was waiting for, but anyway, this is a positive. Let's do it together. We'll take 1 or 2 minutes to write down your goal in the first circle. It says, what is your goal? It could be personal, professional, could have been something you created now, today, or something you've done in the past, you've written down 6 months ago. And then it says, how are you doing with your goal? And then, how do you feel about that? And then fourthly, what will your future look like if you do not achieve your goal? Okay. Couple more minutes, or just another minute on that. Okay, who wants to start? I'm just gonna throw, what is your goal? Anybody want to share? On the screen. Oh. Anybody, can somebody on the screen share? Can they talk?
Yeah, they can talk.
Oh, hi. What? I'm so sorry. Okay, so Nan Green and Haley. Do either of you want to say something?
A goal that I have. This is Nan.
Hi, Nan.
Hi. It's to see that my children are financially and have an investment in life. Financially stable and investments.
How are you doing on that? How are you doing with your goal with that?
I got what you ask. uh, it's still in front of me. It's still there, but I have not arrived yet. And it's not something that I'm going to forget.
Excellent. Yeah, if you don't write it down, if you don't talk about it, it'll really never happen. So good for you. The next question, does anybody else want to share? A goal? Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
I'll share mine. To positively impact others on a regular basis and through work, volunteer, and friendships.
Good one. How do you think you're doing on that?
In the workspace, progress, fear, failure with a company that I own, and the volunteering has stopped significantly since having my kid. So I need to get back to it though.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that goal? And
It's a mixed bag of emotions.
yeah.
Overwhelmed and defeated, but also very optimistic and hopeful.
Mm-hmm. That's what I said. So when I got down to what will your future look like if you don't achieve your goal, I just said, I'm going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
So it was actually a positive. Right, because I hear them like you're kind of, it's like.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag of emotions.
Mixed bag of emotions, but what will your future look like if you do not achieve that goal? I think that's a whammy, like,
Mhm.
wow, let me think about that. Yet, if we're not talking about it and revisiting it, how can we move forward?
Mhm.
Anybody else want to share?
Is this I was on video driving here,
Oh,
so,
great.
was this the question about, goal for a year or our goals right now?
Basically, what is your goal right now? And
Okay.
it's on page 13.
That's right there.
What is your goal? How are you doing with your goal, and how do you feel about that? And what will your future look like if you don't achieve your goal?
So my goal at the end of this year was, or is, not was, is 100,000 GCI.
Excellent.
I am trying to think what I'm at now. I haven't tracked it in about 2 months, so it's like, I'm like, wait, where am I at? But that's what I need to get better at.
Yeah.
Once school started, I'm like, oh crap. Like, kids are at school, I'm watching my 2-year-old, but I'm close. I think I need 2 or 3 more sales, I think. Because I'm right around, I think I'm at about 75 right now, and I have 2 potentials. One that's closing in 2 weeks, and then 2 that are like, well, actually, it could be 1 if one of my clients is looking at $1 million property. It's like, okay, and it's been about a year I've been working with them, so it's like, it's the right place that's pop up. So I'm like, instead of me just waiting and looking or like, oh, hey, this is on MLS, it's like, I should be going out. Like, instead of like waiting for something to come on, I'm like, I can be a better realtor than this. It's like, I need to go search, I need a door knock, or I need to ask, because I have, my dad's a farmer, he knows a lot of farmers and people around the area. And my clients want to look for like a hobby farm acreage thing that they could turn into a wedding event center type thing.
Yeah, you're almost there.
So it's like, okay, I need to just kind of go out and like talk to these people. It's like, not just wait for something. So, but like in that sense, so this year my goal is 100. Next year is about 125. My wife just got a real estate license too, and she's a teacher, but she's staying with teaching. And I said, well, shoot, just get your license, and then teacher friends could use both of us.
Excellent. Teachers are like wonderful.
Yeah. So I'm,
For you.
but yeah, so with that sense, so I'll like this year 100, for next year 125. I'm close, and the goal, because this year was 100, my goal was to buy a truck outright. I actually bought it, put half down, but then I'm missing that 25,000 to pay it all, the rest of it off, because in that sense, it's like I don't like debt. So it's like I want things paid off.
Yeah.
So
Well,
like in that sense, I have that amount that's.
Going back to your goals helps you do that, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. Tell me your name.
Elijah.
Elijah, I'm Susan. Nan? Thank you for sharing. I don't know if you can hear me, Nan.
Well,
Nan.
yes, I had to find mute.
So much for sharing. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All righty, let's go to we just talked about these goals, and now I want us to kind of really get into the meat and potatoes of the 80-20 principle. So flip to page 26. And I'm just going to read the front, and I'm going to get somebody to read the truth, and then we'll go from there. When you're committed to self-mastery and have set your goals for the tasks and topics you want to master, the 80-20 principle will help you focus your efforts on what's necessary to attain these goals. So the word focus is the key word. Will someone read the truth for me that starts there?
What page are we on?
Page 20. Oh, you know what?
It's step 2.
Okay, all right, yeah, no, that's right, yeah.
I know
Okay,
page 26 because it's not up in your text. Sorry.
Truth.
Steps 2, commitment to the 80-20 principle.
There is a pattern of predictable imbalance in life. It is called the 80-20 principle.
Awesome. Okay, I want you to take about a minute or two to read these 3 paragraphs starting under the more results for your activities. And then I'm going to ask you your ahas because I really want to see what you get out of these 3 paragraphs. Okay? Take about 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, what y'all think? Almost there? This is the meat and potatoes right here.
I've heard a bit of it before. We had trainings before about it too, but it's so true. It's if you don't do like the work, like the 20 rule, it's like I was saying before, just make calls. It's like if you don't do that, you're gonna be working 80% or whatever I'm trying to think of, but working 20% of the time to get 80% result or whatever, right? Is that in that
The
sense?
concept
The
is
concept
whatever
is
you, the 20% brings everything else.
It brings everything.
Yeah,
else,
that's what you want to focus on is your 20%. Like it says right here, the idea that 20% of your actions leads to 80% of your results may be one of the most powerful principles
Yeah.
that you can apply in life.
Which for us, it's lead gen. It's me for.
Yep.
My goal is making calls. To just make those calls, which, in a sense, I'm working trying to find listings or trying to find properties for my clients, but could in return bring in results of, hey, I know this person. It might not be in the sense perfect for my clients, and if it's not, it could be a potential listing.
That's right.
So
That's
it's
Exactly. Anybody else have anything to say about that? Anything pop out? It's interesting because you go back to this and you learn a little bit or you just forget. I mean, for me, getting prepared to read this, to teach this class, I was like, yeah, I need to reread that.
Well, it is about the focus too, right? Like, what is the 20%, right? So if you stop focusing on what the 20% is, you're back to where you were before.
Exactly.
Focus, like you said,
You
Legion.
get everywhere. Yeah.
Right?
And we all fail at it. It's like you do it so much and then you get busy, you're like, oh, I don't have to focus on that anymore. It's like, no, you kind of got to focus
Yeah.
on that still because you're gonna have hit a little slump.
I do it all the time, all the time. Okay, so we've got the gist of the 80-20 principle, right? Okay. Go to page 29 and it actually says 29 there. Not just on my page. Okay, so it's called the big rock, basically the big rock concept. This principle isn't intuitive. We feel like the more we do, the greater the results we should see. Yet when we prioritize what really matters, we achieve the most. So I'm going to kind of give you the synopsis of the big rock concept rather than us read this. Does that sound good? Just for the sake of time. There was a philosophy teacher, and he had a class of students, had a couple jars. One of the jars was empty, it was a clear jar, and he said, the rocks are the most important. I'm going to put them in the jar. He put them in the jar, and then he lifted up the jar and said to the class, is the jar full? Because it was up to the rim. And all the students said, yeah, it's full. He went on and grabbed some pebbles and threw them in the jar and kind of shook it. And the pebbles kind of fell down, kind of molded with the rocks. And he lifted up the jar and he said, is the jar full? And 50% of the kids said, yeah, it's full. Then he had more to put in that jar. He took some sand, threw it in the jar, and then shook it, and the sand fell and all the way to the bottom. So there was room for that sand. Then he lifted up the jar, and guess what he asked them? Is it full? Well, no one raised their hand at this point because they're like, I don't know what he's going to do next. And then the professor took water and put the water in the jar, and then the water sunk down between the sand and overflowed. And then he lifted up the jar and he goes, okay, is it full? And they all agreed the jar was full. He also took another jar and he put the water in first, filled it up to the rim, and then threw the rocks in. Yeah, a rock could fall, but the water was spilling. So there was really no room for the big rocks. There was no room for anything else. So the whole idea he was trying to show or share with the class was that you've got to focus on your big rocks because that sand and those pebbles and the water, everything's going to kind of crumble in, kind of weave their way in. But when you focus on your big rocks, it's the real deal. And so I use this one as an example that to my boss, I was thinking of the big rocks. I mentioned, Elijah, that I sold new construction for almost 15 years. And it was always crazy. I mean, one year I sold close to 120 homes. I'm sorry, life was nuts.
Yeah.
And, Well, my boss comes in one day, it was a beautiful March day. He comes throwing open the door and he was fit to be tied. And he asked me, why is the garland from Christmas still on the fence outside? Now, okay, I know it gets cold around here. You might not take your garland down, but in Charleston, South Carolina, it's not like normal to keep your garland up till March. And I mean, I just have to say, I must have been focused on my big rocks. I was not worried about the garland, but he was ticked. We got that garland down the next day. That became a big rock to keep my job. That evening. But I mean, the joke is like, you can focus on what you really need to focus on, or you can focus on the little things. So the garland was not it that time. I kept my job. He did not get rid of me. Any thoughts on that? Just that idea of the big rocks?
No, I've seen that before, but that's the thing, it's, you don't wanna focus too much on the piddly things, like, and you wanna kind of focus on your family, your kids, your parents, those are part of the big things, like with
Yes.
business. You don't wanna focus too much on business, which, yeah, you do, but like family and then friends, faith, and, but it's, if you focus too much time, like the whole thing is like, on your phone sometimes, I get caught doing it all the time. Well, I'm just messing around. I'm like, also my kids like, damn, I'm like,
I know,
Okay,
I know.
it's one of those things,
It'll suck you dry every time.
you know.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Let's go to page, because I want to be respectful of your time, guys. Let's go to page 31. How many of you have a to-do list? I love to-do lists. They make me feel good. Anybody do a to-do list?
Yep.
It's pretty much every day. Okay, so this activity is going to teach us about a success list and not just a to-do list. What to do about nothing? Will someone read out loud that first paragraph?
While to-do lists serve as a useful collection of our best intentions, they also tyrannize us with trivial, unimportant stuff that we feel obligated to get done because it's on our list. Achievers operate differently. They have an eye for the essential.
Yes. And then I'll just skip that next paragraph. Instead of a to-do list, you need a success list, a list that is purposefully created around extraordinary results. To-do lists tend to be long, success lists tend to be short. One pulls you in all directions, the other aims you in a specific direction. If your to-do list contains everything, then it's probably taking you away from the more important stuff. All right, I want us to do an activity. I'm going to give you 1 or 2 minutes, and then I want someone to volunteer to come up here with the activity. So page 33. Before we start the activity, I want to tell you a story, a real life story that happened to me, because I had to-do lists. I didn't have success lists. I was so busy for so long, and I just wasn't properly trained like Keller was training us now. And a couple of years back when I sold new construction, I had 70 contracts under contract at the time. And I simply, like, we had to, obviously keep up with the people who were under contract. We had to keep up with the people coming through the door. I had to keep up with the contractors. I mean, keep up. And it was just simply so overwhelming. And I had done it for so long that, well, I quit.
How many years after?
I was 14 years in,
14, that's right.
and I had 70 contracts. So yes, that means 70 commissions.
Well, that you let go of.
I let go. I walked away from it. I just couldn't do it anymore. I was so fried. Right? Is that crazy? And then, yet there is a good ending to that story, but I'll tell you after we do the exercise, because I think it's going to be important to do. So you're going to take your goal from page 13. Elijah, if you've got a goal, you can just write it down. And then step 2 is to list as many of those things you can think of you could do or could be doing to make the goal reality. And then the third is the key here. Now create a success list. Once you just, out of the list you make, circle maybe 3 things off the to-do list that's going to be your success list. And then I'll stop. And then we'll dig a little deeper, okay? Okay. Start wrapping it up, and now I'm gonna get a volunteer. Sarah, I imagine you get a lot of to-do lists.
Oh, absolutely. They're my favorite. I like lists though, because I can cross it off.
Yeah. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Perfect.
We want you to circle your top priorities out of your to-do list. That's what they call a success list. Okay, have you finished your success list? 'Cause number 4, we didn't talk about this. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else is easier or unnecessary? What's the one thing out of that success list? Does anybody know where that statement comes from?
The one thing book.
The One Thing book? Yes. Yes, Gary Keller wrote a book called The One Thing, and that's the main gist of the whole book. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else is easier or unnecessary? Hey, who wants to come up? Put their to-do list here. And then we're gonna have your, not the whole thing, but some of them, and I want you to circle success list. Maybe 3 out of the items. Pretty please, somebody. Don't make me do it. We'll do it, okay. Thanks, Elijah. Okay.
Weird. Okay, hold on. This is
Oh, look at this. That's good. Go
Um,
ahead and circle. Okay,
that's,
so what's your goal?
oh yeah, sorry.
Okay, excellent. All right, so you've got on your list, door knocking and call.
Yep, door knock call. And that's like I said before, like just do that just for clients, current clients, and
Yeah.
in the sense of, hey, I'm looking for this type of property, and if it doesn't work out, or just say, do you know anybody that's looking to buy
Yeah.
or sell? That's the concept of
Okay.
everything. So it's kind of a dual purpose one, which like I talked before, to that, but also contact past clients, see if they have any anybody they know that's looking in the same concept. Client events, I try and do client events. I do a fall one, which actually in 2 weeks, I go to Orchard and buy my clients apples and cider. And that's like a big family day they can have at the Orchard as well. So that brings, I usually get 1 or 2 clients a year just from that. Like, hey, by the way, I know someone, and they just tell me those clients could say, well, they could tell me before the event, but the event kind of
Right.
helps trigger something or some other conversations. But I like doing that because I don't just do it I know people that do events just for their current clients. I actually do it for my current and all my past clients,
Mhm.
which I do 6 to 10 deals a year right now. So I have 60 some odd clients I invite to the event. So
Good for you.
um
And then do more social media posts.
social media, I'm always on it, but I'm not putting content on it.
Right.
Like a group in our office here that does phenomenal stuff is the Zimmers. It's like I don't think I'll ever get to their extreme, like how good they are, because I'm not that good with social media stuff type of posts. But it's like if I can at least get more posts out there where it's like I don't want to be the what is the invisible agent or whatever.
Right, right.
It's like, oh, you're
But
an
after these, your circle of door knocking. So
Door
that's
knock
your
and call.
success. Yeah.
door knock.
and call.
I shouldn't say door knock, but I should get better at that. But calling, like
Oh.
that's
So
worked in the past.
is that, would you narrow it down to say that would be the one thing you could do such by doing it, everything else is easier or unnecessary?
Yeah, that and I would kind of go hand in hand with that past clients.
Mhm.
I've gotten a lot of referrals from past clients. Just a call or a text, how's it going? Or like, hey, I took, actually that's what I took from Trent Zimmer 2 years ago. I said, hey, I was just in your neighborhood. I just thought of you. How are you doing? Just a simple thing like that, and just it's like small talk. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I got a client that's kind of looking in this area. Do you know any neighbors that are looking to sell? Or something
Yeah,
like that. So it's like
exactly.
I've gotten a few things like that. It's like, oh no, but I'm like, hey, I got a sister that's looking, she's thinking about selling. I was like, hey, send me their
Mhm.
contact.
Good stuff. Anybody else have, just doing that exercise, did it help? Did it bring anything to light? Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Elijah, for doing that. Awesome. Well, I wanted to share, so, I mean, it does, doing these exercises, you're gonna do it in a classroom setting easier than you probably on your own. You know what I'm saying? That's why I like doing these classes. So can I share with you my success story about, leaving 70 commissions?
Yeah.
I just, you fast forward, my success is that I ended up getting into general brokerage, and I've been with Keller Williams since 2007. I've been on ALC many times. I've met Mo Anderson personally. Do you guys know even who Mo Anderson is? I'm sorry, I shouldn't throw that out. So I've personally had invites. I mean, we just emailed back and forth last week. Diana Kokoska, who's no longer with Keller Williams, but started Bold. I'm on her advanced readership for her book. I mean, we're just surrounded by wonderful people. So that was a positive. But what I did was to help with this 80-20 principle, to help me focus, changed my life, is I hired a full-time assistant. So that's what I did to help me get it. It could be hiring a transactional coordinator. It doesn't have to be a full-time assistant, but for me, I needed to, in order for me to get to the next level, I needed to do that. It changed my life. It's changed my world. And now allows me to focus on the things other than paperwork. I mean, that's what I was doing, at nighttime. And I know you guys can relate to this. It's like 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, and you're like, closing my, falling asleep with, it just, so it changed my world. And now I got to focus on other things. Go to page 35. We'll just talk about, I'm just gonna highlight a couple of these things. And then we're gonna get ready to wrap it up, because I know there's another meeting. coming.
Life, wealth building with life insurance
Yeah, it's
is
exciting.
next.
Wow. You don't want to forget that. So, page 35. Has anybody heard of the 411? Does anybody use it?
I need to.
Sorry, what
Yeah.
page?
Page 35. Oh, the 411. You can find it on command. And actually type it in. It's actually pretty good. But the concept is well, it says right here, the 411 is a reflection of top priorities, the big rocks, the 20%. It is a list of the goals broken down into annual, monthly, weekly categories. It is designated to help both long-range goals, the results, and short-term range goals, activities that bring those results to fruition. So if you look on page 37, it's an actual example of a 411. What I like about this worksheet is that it has your annual goals, but it breaks it down for your job, your business, personal, personal, financial, and then personal. Nan, I don't know if she's still on or not, but you had mentioned, you had talked about personal financial, so this would be perfect to kind of look at this. So that's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, yeah. So, and then it breaks down to your monthly, you go your annual, your monthly, and then your weekly. And when I first started with Keller Williams, I had a accountability group that I get together. We really didn't even know what we were doing. We were all just getting started, but we met on a weekly basis and we go over our 411. So if you've got somebody you can be accountable with that, it makes a difference. Gary Keller says the breakfast of champions is accountability. So anyway, you can find that on command and then you see that there. And then how about time blocking? Let's go to page 41. Page 41. I love this up top. In the beginning, it says, we are always doing something if we're alive. We're always doing something. We're either breathing or whatever. But it says, every minute, every day, the question is never, will we be doing something, but rather what that something is we'll be doing. Will somebody read the truth out loud?
I can do it.
Thank you.
People
Sarah?
think there's never enough time to be successful, but there is when you time block it.
Yes. There's a bold law down at the bottom here. It says, if it's not on your schedule, it does not exist. There's another bold law. Yeah, isn't that a good one? What's the other bold law? It's we're not in real estate. We're here to fight. Does anybody know it?
Yeah.
No, we have all the bold laws right there on the wall right now.
Yeah.
Out in the
Oh,
hallway.
out in the hall. Okay. Okay. So if it's not in your calendar, doesn't exist, and maybe it's just a concept. We're not selling real estate. We're following a schedule or something like that. It's not about real estate. It's about following a schedule.
Yeah,
It's not about real estate. It's about following a schedule. That's a bold law. I need to go back to bold, so I can memorize that one.
But hey, October 9th, if you want
Yeah,
to fly in
come
everything.
I know. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be really good. All right, so it's got 4 keys to successful time blocking. Who wants to just read the first one?
Be consistent enough to set the habit.
So what do y'all think about that?
True.
It is.
Yeah.
If you do it enough, it becomes a habit.
Yeah.
Mhm. How about, it becomes a habit. How about number 2, be thoughtful and purposeful about the items you list on your calendar.
I think that goes back to the 80-20 principle, right? So putting your big rocks, right? So just making sure that you have the big rocks in there, with, you know, and reevaluating the big rocks, or maybe.
Yeah, going back to it.
Mhm.
It's so easy to have big rocks, but it's easy to forget. They are.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else on
No.
being thoughtful and purposeful? How about number 3? Does someone want to read that, please?
always time block for the 20% that ensures your success and the success of your business.
And we kind of did that with a to-do list and then circling the success list. Has anybody, and I don't mean to go on a tangent of this, but has anybody read Who, Not How? I mean, yeah, Who, Not How? No, The Gap in the Gain. No, Who and How, that's a great, I'm sorry, I love reading books, so I get confused. The Gap in the Gain. It is like literally write it down. Like, I'm not serious, I'm not kidding. I mean,
So
The
it
Gap
is-
in the Gain.
The gap in the game.
And it's by Dan Sullivan. There's another Ben something, but Dan Sullivan is if you look up Dan Sullivan, you'll get it. But one of the things that they talk about, in The Gap in the Gain is every night you write down basically your wins for the day and then what your tomorrow is, but he only tells you to do 3 because he doesn't want it to make a to-do list. So you can focus on those big rocks. I'm telling you, the Gap in the Gain, it's awesome. You'll apply it to every part of your life. I love it. So, all right, that was a side note. And then 4th, if you erase, you must replace. All right, so today, I know the next class is getting ready to come in. We're gonna kind of just review what we went over. We briefly talked about the 6 personal perspectives. So when a class comes here and they do it all day, it's gonna be great because you can talk about the other principles. But we learned about the what the 80-20 principle is. Focus on the 20% gets you all your 80% of your results. We talked about your big rock. We went back to that. We did a to-do list and then circled it and narrowed it down to a success list. And if you could go even deeper and ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else is easier or unnecessary. That's the One Thing book. We talked about the 4-1-1.